If you want to understand power, forget kingdoms, forget wars, forget all those grand historical struggles people pretend to study but never learn from. Power begins in the smallest, quietest moments, in the subtle refusal, in the boundary that doesn't tremble, in the firm, cold no delivered by a woman who does not flinch, negotiate, or seek permission. And if you want to know why men respect women who say no and mean it, it's because nothing destabilizes a man's internal hierarchy like a woman whose will cannot be bent. Most people think respect comes from niceness, compromise, emotional openness. Weak concepts for weak minds. The truth is simpler and far more ancient. We are wired to revere what we cannot easily influence. Men, especially. They worship resistance. They are drawn to difficulty the way moths throw themselves at fire. They crumble for women who say yes, but they kneel for women who say no. Let me give you a hook to wake up the dormant parts of your mind. Men don't respect the woman who says yes. They respect the woman who denies them access to the very thing they believe they're entitled to. There it is. The whole brutal truth. You can click away now if your stomach is too sensitive. But if you've stayed, then you're the right kind of viewer. Someone who understands that human nature is not a fairy tale. It's a battlefield of obsessions, fears, wounds, and power plays. People pretend they want equality, partnership, harmony. They lie. They want leverage. They want dominance disguised as romance. They want control wrapped in affection. And the woman who says no? She seizes control effortlessly. I learned this long before I ever studied philosophy or psychology. Long before I discovered ancient manuscripts or war manuals, or the tactical brilliance of the world's most manipulative thinkers. I learned it in the nightlife world, where I spent years managing people, emotions, desires, egos. A morally gray crossroads where everyone says they're there for fun, but what they're really searching for is validation, escape, or someone to control. And trust me, the women who said no, cleanly, decisively, without theatrics, ran the entire ecosystem. They weren't the loudest, the prettiest, or the most dramatic. They were simply the women who refused to be moved. They made men adjust their posture. They made men straighten their backs. They made men rethink their worth. They created psychological tension so potent it could freeze a man mid-sentence. Men would lean in to talk to them, and these women wouldn't lean back. They didn't compensate. They didn't fill the silence. They didn't reward effort. They didn't soothe male insecurity. They simply existed with self-possession so complete it was almost arrogant. And men respected it. Not consciously. Consciously, men complained. They said these women were hard to get, difficult, stuck up, high standards. I heard every insult in the book, but their actions told the truth. They circled these women like wolves who pretended not to care. They returned. They watched from a distance. They chased without calling it chasing. They tried to impress them without admitting they were trying. Because no creates the one thing men cannot live without: tension. People think love makes men move. No, tension does. The psychological kind that prickles under the skin and forces the mind to chase clarity. There's research for this. University College London conducted a behavioral study showing that uncertainty and emotional friction activate the striatum, the brain's reward center, far more intensely than comfort or sure outcomes. In simpler terms, men become addicted to the woman whose boundaries deny them immediate gratification. They confuse it for respect, for attraction, for destiny. but it's simply biology responding to resistance. Let's go deeper, because sugarcoating anything would betray the entire purpose of this video. Men do not respect women who bend. Men do not respect women who accommodate. Men do not respect women who say yes out of fear of losing them. They respect women who are willing to lose them. That is the key. A woman who says no, and means it, signals something most men rarely encounter in their soft, self-delusional lives. Someone who cannot be manipulated by desire. She becomes a force rather than a follower, a standard rather than an option. Men don't know how to handle this. It destabilizes them, humiliates them, and awakens them at the same time. This is where my dark sense of humor kicks in, because watching men break beneath a woman's boundaries is unintentionally comedic. They go through emotional stages like weakened animals: irritation, denial, bargaining, passive aggression, sudden politeness, exaggerated masculinity, then finally, respect. The whole psychological circus is ridiculous, yet consistent. And the women who understand this? They weaponize their no like a blade. I give them endless credit. These women navigate the psychological minefield of modern romance with a strategist's mind. They aren't mean, but they are unmoved. They aren't cruel, but they enforce reality. They aren't power-hungry, but they know weakness when they see it. And they refuse, absolutely refuse, to nurture a man's ego at the expense of their own dignity. And simps, oh, simps crumble instantly in front of these women. A simp cannot tolerate boundaries. He interprets no as violence, rejection as cruelty. He needs approval, like others need oxygen. The boundary-setting woman unmasks his desperation, and it disgusts him because it reveals his lack of worth. Men punch walls over women who say yes. They write poetry for women who say no. Let's talk about why this happens. A woman who says no is dangerous. Not because she's harsh, not because she's unattainable, but because she signals that her validation is scarce, and scarcity controls the world. Economies run on scarcity. Wars begin over scarcity. Men are built to chase scarcity, and women who say no are rare. Most people live in fear of disappointing others. Most people say yes to avoid confrontation. Most people do not want to be the villain. But a woman who enforces her no, she becomes the villain men respect. She becomes the storm they fear and admire. I've seen men who looked fearless in the streets crumble the second a woman denied them emotional access. I've watched men who thought they were conquerors suddenly become lost children. I used to live in a world where influence was measured by who commanded the room, and those women, the ones who said no, commanded men without moving a finger. And here's the part that still surprises me today. Life has a twisted sense of humor. Because now I coach women. Me, of all people. A man who used to operate in the nightlife trenches, navigating morally questionable dynamics that, let's be honest, resembled the kind of psychological power games people associate with the darker corners of society. I never thought I'd spend my life teaching women how to avoid weak men and how to protect their value. And yet here we are. Coaching is on sale right now. New Year chaos has everyone scrambling for clarity, crying into overpriced cocktails, convincing themselves they can fix people who are allergic to accountability. I pinned it in the comments. And the landing page is almost done, which means soon the whole system will run smoother. For those who want the unfiltered content, the things I cannot say on YouTube without summoning a mob, subscribe to the weekly newsletter. That's where the real lessons go. But let's return to the point. Why men respect women who say no. It's because no is the purest form of power. It's decisive. It's undeniable. It doesn't need explanation. Yes invites negotiation. No ends it. And when a woman ends negotiation before it begins, she becomes something rare. A person who sees herself as the authority in her own life. Most men have never met such a woman. That's why they remember her. That's why they become nervous around her. That's why they watch their tone, adjust their behavior, and suddenly discover respect they didn't know they had. Men do not respect what they can control. They respect what controls itself. And the woman who says no is sovereign, untouchable, a psychological fortress. So if you are a woman watching this, understand the truth. Your boundaries are not punishments. They are invitations to be taken seriously. A man who respects you will rise to meet them. A man who doesn't will fall away, revealing himself as the fragile creature he always was. If you like this video, subscribe. If you've ever told a man no and watched his behavior change, tell me in the comments. I'm curious how many of you have seen the transformation firsthand. And again, coaching is on sale, pinned in the comment section. The landing page is almost ready, and the newsletter will hold everything I can't say publicly.